Dehancer! The video. It's just too digital. There's only one option. Dehance. Roger that.
Where's the money, Tommy?
Well, blow me down. I've gone and overdone it. Now we're talking. I hope you'll like that small sketch that I've made. Now, let's talk about how I've made it. I've been eyeing Dehancer for many years now, but I've always hesitated to pull the trigger on it. That's why when they wrote me offering to check it out, I immediately jumped on the opportunity. So, what is Dehancer? Dehancer is a film emulation plugin designed to mimic physically accurate film exposure, development, and printing process. If at any point you decide that, hey, this is pretty cool and you want to try it out for yourself, there's a 10% discount code waiting for you in the video description. Or if you want to get some gear that I use, the links are also in the description. Dehancer works on the main video editors such as Adobe Premiere, After Effects, Final Cut, but I will be using it with the best of them all, DaVinci Resolve. I have Dehancer loaded as a separate color node, and the first step of the plugin is to accurately dial in your input settings. There are multiple options to choose from depending on your setup. If you're using any CSDs, you can choose DaVinci Wide Gamut Intermediate as your input source, or you can work directly with camera log footage. So in this case, I have my source set to Panasonic Lumix S5, and format is Vlog. Most of my footage is shot on Lumix S5 with Vlog color profile, either Mark 1 or Mark 2, but I'm also going to throw in some iPhone, action cam, and even drone footage. And if I remember which lens I've used, I'm going to put it up as an annotation too. The plugin comes with, if I counted correctly, 63 presets at the time of filming. And since these are physically accurate, some of them are going to be negative film stock and some of them are going to be positive film stock. And that is going to affect how your sliders behave. Color film is also formulated for different white balances. Some of it will be daylight balanced and some of it will be tungsten balanced. If you want to get into the nitty-gritty, you will have to research each film stock individually. Thankfully, some of them are described in Dehancer's documentation. But that is only the beginning. You can granularly control pretty much all of the final look. You can be as subtle as you want or go all in and add all kinds of film damage, breathing, and gate weave as I did for this old footage in my intro skit. It is worth mentioning that Dehancer is not only a video plugin, but they also have plugins for Photoshop, Lightroom, Capture One, and get this, even Affinity Photo, which I use because Adobe. If you're interested in the photo plugin, stay tuned because I will be showing that later. Oh, and they also have an app. This brings me some proper old school Instagram vibes, but we'll check it out later. Now, back in DaVinci, let's see what other settings Dehancer has. By the way, they have a very nice documentation videos explaining each of the settings, so I am not going to go into detail because I don't think I can do a better job of explaining it compared to the actual creators of the plugin. But what I am going to show you is the process of creating some of the looks of my footage. So here I have some footage from this year's Comic-Con, and this was a really cool cosplayer that I later interviewed. Let me drag in Dehancer. I had input color space selected for this one, but let me just revert that to Rec 709. And now let me choose the source in Dehancer. So I'm going to choose my camera, that is Panasonic Lumix S5 Mark I, and that is Vlog. And we can see that the footage is too dark, so let me just bump it up a little bit. And I think that is where I can start working. Ooh, wow, that's interesting. So for this one, I think I like the Kodak Portra 160 VC. This is quite a dark shot, so halation is not going to be that visible, maybe a little bit on her hair. But what is going to be visible is bloom, so you can see that the image immediately softens. And I can give it a little bit more bloom or a little bit less bloom. I'm gonna stick it to here. Maybe also give this a little bit of vignette so that it focuses more on the cosplayer. And I'm gonna give this a little bit of exposure compensation. So I am quite happy with this one. And of course it is gonna play slow because of all the bloom and other effects, so this is not gonna be real time. But it still looks pretty cool. Now this is a whole different shot from the times when we went to the mountains. Let me put Dehancer on this one, and this is shot with DJI Mini 3. And what I really like about Dehancer is that it also has DJI, and you can choose. They don't have Air 3, but Air 2S is gonna be the same thing, I believe. So Air 2S, D-Log. This was shot in D-Log, and we can play a little bit with the colors. Right now it's very blue, but if we put Kodak Vision 200T, it's a little bit red. So let me choose something that I like. And for this one, I really like the Agfa Color 100. It gives this nice separation of blue sky and like reddish mountains. So let me refine it a little bit so it looks even cooler. Oh yeah, this looks nice. The Kodak 2383 print film. That is awesome. So here's another shot. This time it's from different mountains in the winter. It's a little bit more different. This is more in the shadow. Let's put Dehancer on it. And again, we can choose the camera. And this one was DJI Action 4. And yes, we do have Osmo Action 4 in here. And this is immediately turning into something really nice. Let me check what film stocks I can use for this one. Ooh. Ooh, this one gives some really nice color separation here. We have some warm colors on the trees, and we have some really cold ones in the snow. I kind of like that. Okay, so for this one, I think the Polaroid Polychrome 35mm looks pretty nice. This has a little bit less contrast, but it looks like it's from an old postcard, and I really love it. As I've mentioned, I really like that Dehancer comes with its own conversion, so you don't need to use any CSTs. And what you can actually do is you can actually choose DJI Osmo Action 4, and you can completely disable the film conversion and also disable pretty much everything, the print, the film grain, pretty much everything. And that is going to leave you with a very nice color conversion. This one is 1080p, but this is from a movie that we were shooting, and this is a lot different from the other shots because it has some red lights in the background and it has this very contrasty character with a dark background. So let's see how Dehancer behaves here. Again, I'm going to disable the input color space. I'm going to choose that to be Rec 709, and I am going to choose my camera right here. S5 Vlog, and ooh. Yeah, this one is pretty cool. Let's see which film stock I'm gonna use for that one. Okay, so for this one, I think I really like the Fujicolor 100. I still need a little bit of maybe contrast boost or some exposure compensation. Let's give this a little bit of vignette. That looks absolutely sick. Okay, so I'm just gonna leave it at that and move on to the other one. Now here I have some iPhone footage from one of our trips. Let's slap on a Dehancer. Let's see if it has iPhone there. So I'm gonna choose input color space, Rec 709, choose camera, Apple iPhone, Apple log, and immediately this gets super dark. I don't know why, because the original footage is quite bright. Let's put some exposure compensation and what looks dreamy. And Kodak Color Plus 200 looks quite dreamy and quite warm for this shot. I am digging this. Of course, I could play a little bit with lift gamma gain. And there you have it. Dehancer also works on iPhone footage. So this is from my trip to the mines. Let's put DaVinci Wide Gamut Intermediate. Let's see how it behaves with those lights. So those lights immediately tell me that I need to put on some bloom. Some halation will also be in order. I think I'm gonna make this black and white. I'm gonna use Svema Type 42. I'm gonna overexpose that just a little bit so that the lights are blown out, and I am going to give it a lot of grain. This time I'm gonna choose 16mm ISO 500. This adds some nice texture to it, and yeah, let's add some film damage, why not? Yeah, and this looks like something that could have been shot a long time ago. As I've mentioned, Dehancer is also available for the major photo editing programs. I'm using Affinity Photo, and it actually uses the Photoshop version of the plugin. I, however, had difficulties following Dehancer's instructions to get the plugin working, but I finally managed to get it running by copying the plugin from the Photoshop's folder directly to Affinity Photo's plugin folder. I like how Photo version has all the film stocks listed on the left side together with a small thumbnail preview. This is something that I really miss in DaVinci because I am not familiar with how those film stocks look, only judging by their name. I also love that these stocks can be filtered by type, and I think that I will be using it as a reference of what I can achieve in DaVinci. Other than that, the rest of the plugin is pretty much the same with the same settings. Just keep in mind that it works in the sRGB color profile and not log, so in my understanding the dynamic range might be affected, but I'm only speculating here. If you can't get enough of Dehancer, why not take it with you on the go? Dehancer also offers a mobile app with the same capabilities as on the computer version. Just be aware that activating the mobile version will use up a seat in your license, and depending on the license that you get, you either have 2 or 3 seats. It's 1 seat per device. The mobile app is quite intuitive and allows you to choose photo style from multiple presets. You can then dive into the same granular settings as you have on the computer version. One thing that took me a couple of minutes to find out is how to disable the processing steps when they are turned on, and that is simply done by pressing on the step. Each tab can be resized individually and it will remember the tab size between sessions. It can get pretty tedious to resize each tab individually, and my OCD gets triggered each time when a tab size is not aligned with each other, but that's just me. After you're done with the look, you can either export your photo to gallery or share it directly through the app of your choice. Either way, your photo looks get automatically saved for each photo, allowing you to continue where you left off in the subsequent sessions. Finally, they have an online version of Dehancer. It does require an active license, but it does not take up an additional seat. The web version is not as granular as the plugin version, but still lets you achieve some very nice looks. And after you're done with your image, you can export a lossless 16-bit TIFF. Let's see how that goes. Thanks a lot to Dehancer for giving me an opportunity to check out their plugin. I think that this is something that I will be using in my future videos, as I really love its halation and bloom capabilities, as well as their mobile app to edit my Instagram photos. Again, if you want to get Dehancer for yourself, there's a discount code for you in the description down below. And now I leave you with some more examples of Dehancer.
Drop the note, let it glow, resolves the stage, the reel will flow. Film grain rising, shadows play, digital night turns analog day. Dehancer, Dehancer, film in the code. Every shot a story on the color grade road. Halation, diffusion, chemistry too. Your footage looks vintage, but sharper, brand new. Push the curve, bend the tone. Dark room science inside the node. Exposure whispers, colors collide. Cinematic heartbeat, neon tide. Dehancer, Dehancer, film in the code. Every shot a movie in Da Vinci's mode. Not a filter, not a trick. It's the lab and the timeline, fast and slick. Every shot's a movie now. Yet I